is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, deadly attack shocks Australia and the world. At least 15 people are killed after a mass shooting erupts at Sydney's Bondi Beach during a Hanukkah celebration, prompting a national mourning period and a vow of justice from Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accuses Australia of fueling anti-Semitism after that attack, while praising a civilian who helped disarm the shooter. Border tensions boiled over in Southeast Asia. Cambodia demands global condemnation as clashes with Thailand stretch into a seventh day, despite earlier ceasefire efforts. A solemn moment in China. Thousands gathered in Nanjing to mark the 80th anniversary of the massacre, honoring victims and renewing calls to remember history and safeguard peace. Migration pressures intensify in Europe. Protesters flood the streets of The Hague, opposing the Dutch government's asylum plans amid housing shortages and rising costs of living. The French pushes back against NATO. Thousands march through central Paris, chanting, "We will not die for Ukraine," as demonstrators denounce NATO's role in the war and warn against wider conflict. And Miss Finland is stripped of her crown after a racist gesture sparks widespread outrage, reigniting debate over accountability in international beauty pageants. I'm Prince Tripoli. Newsline World starts now. Terror engulfs Australia. At least 15 people, including a suspected attacker, were killed and 18 others injured Sunday evening while gunfire erupted at Bondi Beach during a Jewish community event. Amar Foswella reports.
Sydney's iconic Bondi Beach turned chaotic Sunday evening as shots rang out near Campbell Parade around 1845 local time. Thousands had gathered for the Hanukkah by the Sea Festival when the attack unfolded. Eyewitnesses described panicked crowds running for cover amid continuous gunfire lasting several minutes. New South Wales Police confirmed 9 victims died, along with 1 alleged gunman. A second suspected shooter was hospitalized in critical condition. Authorities have taken 2 people into custody and warned the public to avoid the area while specialist teams examine suspicious items, including a possible improvised explosive device. A member of the local Jewish community described the attack as deliberate.
Adult, elderly people came here to see. It's a kids' party. Hanukkah is primarily for kids. This person who went there, he knew what he was doing.
Among the injured were 2 responding police officers and a senior media official from the Executive Council of Australian Jewry. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called the scenes shocking and distressing. International reaction came from Israel President Isaac Herzog, who condemned the attack as cruel attack by vile terrorists and urged Australia to confront the rise of anti-Semitism.
The entire nation of Israel misses a beat in this very moment as we pray for the recovery of the wounded. We pray for them and we pray for those who've lost their lives. We send our warmest strength from here, from Jerusalem, and we repeat our alert time and again to the Australian government to seek action and fight against the enormous wave of anti-Semitism which is plaguing Australian society.
Australia has strict gun laws and has largely avoided mass shootings for decades. Authorities continue to investigate the motive behind the attack.
This is like Nova Festival in Israel. This is exactly how it is. That's what people on the Nova Festival, young people came to have fun. That's what they have experienced. Exactly the same. The terrorists came and killed them. The death came to Australia. This is a Nova Festival massacre in Australia.
Authorities continue to secure the area and investigate the shooting, urging residents and visitors to stay away from Bondi Beach while the situation remains under review. Reporting for Newsline World, Almar Forsualo, SMNI News.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is vowing unity and justice after a mass shooting at Bondi Beach left at least 10 people dead. The attack targeted a Hanukkah celebration and has been condemned by Prime Minister as evil anti-Semitism. Albanese delivered a stark message following the attack, saying the shooting deliberately targeted Jewish Australians on a day meant for joy and light.
This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah. An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian. And every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated on this attack on our way of life. There is no place for this hate, violence and terrorism in our nation. Let me be clear. We will eradicate it. We have seen Australians today run towards danger in order to help others. These Australians are heroes and their bravery has saved lives. As Prime Minister, I say on behalf of all Australians to the Jewish community, we stand with you, we embrace you, and we reaffirm tonight that you have every right to be proud of who you are and what you believe. You have the right to worship and study and live and work in peace and safety. And you enrich us as a nation. Australia will never submit to division, violence or hatred. We will see justice done and we will come through this together.
Gun laws and has largely avoided mass shootings for decades. Meanwhile, investigators say the motive and planning behind the attack remain under investigation. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is accusing Australia's government of contributing to rising anti-Semitism following the mass shooting at Sydney's Bondi Beach that left at least 10 people dead. At a government meeting in Dimona, Netanyahu revealed he had personally warned Prime Minister Anthony Albanese earlier this year that Australia's stance of Palestinian statehood would, in his words, pour fuel of the anti-Semitic fire. He also described anti-Semitism as a spreading cancer.
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. I wrote, "Your call for a Palestinian state pours full fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It rewards Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. Anti-Semitism is a cancer. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. You did nothing to curb the cancer cells that were growing inside your country."
Albanese has yet to respond directly to Netanyahu's accusations. The Israeli Prime Minister linked the Bondi Beach attack to what he described as a failure of leadership, saying governments must act decisively to confront anti-Semitism.
Saw an action of a brave man, turns out a Muslim brave man, and I salute him, that stopped one of these terrorists from killing innocent Jews.
The media identified the bystander as Ahmed Al-Ahmed, a fruit shop owner and a member of the local Muslim community. The 43-year-old was seen in a car park charging at a gunman, tackling him and wrenching the rifle with his hands before pointing the gun back at the man. Al-Ahmed sustained at least 2 gunshot wounds and was taken to the hospital for treatment. Up next, migration pressures intensify in Europe. Protesters flood the streets of The Hague, opposing the Dutch government's asylum plans amid housing shortages and rising costs of living. And the French pushes back against NATO. Thousands march through central Paris, chanting, "We will not die for Ukraine." as demonstrators denounce NATO's role in the war and warn against wider conflict. More news after the break.
Pasasaan pa ang kalayaan kung ang mga alipin ngayon ay sila din naman mang-aalipin bukas.
Ibigin mo ang iyong bayan ng sunod kay Bathala sa iyong kapurihan at higit sa lahat sa iyong sarili.
Hindi natin mapapalaya ang ating mga sarili maliban kung sumulong tayo na nagkakaisa sa iisang hangarin.
Ang tunay na makabayan ay ang tumutupad ng pagpapabuti ng kanyang mga kapwa, gaano man kaaba ang kanyang katungkulan. Naway magsilbing paalala ang kanilang mga salita upang lalo nating mahalin at ang bayan.
Sa panahon ng tag-ulan, hindi lang baha at ulan ang dapat bantayan, kundi pati na rin mga sakit na pwedeng makahawa. At dahil ngayon ay rainy season, nagbabala ang Department of Health laban sa tinatawag na wild diseases. 4 na klase ng sakit na karaniwang nakukuha ng tao tuwing maulan. Ito ang W o water na maaaring makuha mula sa kaya't ugaliin updates. Magsuot ng kapote at bota. Siguraduhing malinis ang iniinom na tubig. Agad kumonsulta sa health center kung may nararamdamang sintomas. Mainam din gawin ang 40 o ang taob, taktak, tuyo at takip para maiwasan ang dengue sa bahay at komunidad. Maglinis, magmasid, mag-ingat. Labanan ang wild diseases ngayong tag-ulan. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
And we're back. A growing backlash over immigration in Europe, this time in the Netherlands. Protesters marched throughout The Hague, opposing plans for new asylum centers as housing shortages and rising costs intensify political pressure ahead of elections. Paul Montibon reports.
Under police watch, protesters marched through the streets of The Hague, waving Dutch flags and chanting against new asylum facilities planned by the government. Placards reading anti-AZC and "Reclaim Our Country Back" reflected deep frustration over housing shortages and rising living costs. National protest leader Martin Koeps told supporters the Netherlands is already overstretched, arguing that immigration levels are worsening pressure on housing and public services.
We're standing here today because our opinion about mass immigration is that it has to stop here in the Netherlands. There are too many people in our little country, and we need to put our people first. And the problems that are rising here in the Netherlands are with living spaces. We have no houses here in the Netherlands, and 70,000 people each year are coming into the Netherlands. That's the new plan of our D66 government that's building information, and we don't want that. We need to cut back on that and take a good look at our own country before we're going to help other countries.
Demonstrators like Caroline said immigration can help the economy, but warned that what they see as mass migration risks harming social stability.
Actually, everything should be in certain level. every country needs certain immigrants because they are making economy better, but we need a massive immigration that like a lot of food. If we need food for our organism, but if we have a lot of food, too much food, it can be harmful for our health. The same is about immigration in a country that I think Netherlands is very gastvrij, open for guests, open for other people from other countries.
For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, reporting for Newsline World, this has been Paul Montebon, SMNA News.
Hundreds of people in Venezuela gathered Saturday to denounce the United States for seizing the Venezuelan oil tanker, calling it an act of piracy. This report from Valdivina Gracia.
The demonstration took place in the Miranda State Petare area with participants waving Venezuelan flags, holding PSUV party banners, and playing traditional music. Social groups and activists condemned the operation, emphasizing their commitment to defending Venezuela's sovereignty and independence. The protest followed the interception of the tanker's keeper, carrying nearly 1.9 million barrels of crude oil by U.S. authorities. Washington justified the operation, citing sanctions and alleged connections to illicit oil networks.
Bueno, que son pataletas de desquiciados, ya no saben qué hacer. Primero nos acusaban de que éramos unos narcotraficantes y ahora son ellos los que robando como piratas del Caribe se declaran verdaderamente las intenciones que tienen sobre este país. Pero que sepan muy bien, aquí estamos como pueblo dispuestos a cuidar nuestro patrimonio y lo vamos a defender bajo cualquier circunstancia. Y ese petrolero lo vamos a recuperar junto con su tripulación. No queremos piratas, ¿sabes?, que vengan a dañar este país.
Demonstrators vowed to protect Venezuela's sovereignty and natural resources, condemning what they described as foreign interference and pirate tactics. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Valdivina Gracia, SMNA News.
Dozens of dogs were rescued in Mexico after being abandoned in the Guadalupe pilgrimage. Volunteers and rescue groups worked to provide care and medical attention to the pets left behind, highlighting the need for greater awareness of responsible pet ownership during large events. Joy Tabanao for the story.
In Mexico City, dozens of dogs have been rescued after being abandoned following the annual pilgrimage to the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The dogs were left behind by pilgrims who traveled to the Basilica for the religious event, often carrying their pets during the journey. According to local authorities, volunteers and animal rescue groups worked tirelessly to locate the saved animals, ensuring they would not be left to fend for themselves.
Son seres sintientes, no podemos dejarlos a su suerte, no podemos dejarlos en abandono. El día de ayer recolectamos a 21 perritos, 21 seres sintientes dejados a su suerte, en donde ya se les dio alimento, se desparasitaron y también se vacunaron.
The Guadalupe pilgrimage, one of the largest in the world, sees millions of people traveling on foot to the Basilica every December. Unfortunately, this year, many pets were abandoned along the way, with some left behind in the city streets. Rescue workers are now providing care for the dogs, offering medical attention and food while reaching for permanent homes through adoption programs. Authorities have urged the public to report any animals left behind after future pilgrimages to avoid similar situations.
Y venimos aquí a apoyar a los animalitos, principalmente perritos que son los que se quedan aquí, que vienen siguiendo a los peregrinos y muchas veces pues desgraciadamente los abandonan, y otros que ya estaban en situación de calle. En esta zona pues venimos a generar conciencia principalmente de que no abandonen y pues a alimentarlos también.
As Mexico City continues to grapple with the ongoing issue of abandoned animals, animal welfare advocates are calling for more education and awareness on responsible pet ownership, especially during large events like Guadalupe pilgrimage. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
When we come back, border tensions boil over in Southeast Asia. Cambodia demands global condemnations as clashes with Thailand stretch into a 7th day despite earlier ceasefire efforts. A solemn moment in China. Thousands gathered in Nanjing to mark the 88th anniversary of the massacre, honoring victims and renewing calls to remember history and safeguard peace. And Miss Finland is stripped of her crown after a racist gesture sparks widespread outrage, reigniting debate over accountability in international beauty pageants. Newsline World will be back after the break.
Isang pindot lang, pwede kang maka-jackpot. Mukhang masaya at easy money lang. Sa murang halaga, pwede ka na tumaya sa online gambling at e-casino apps. Mayroong sabong, slot machines, mahjong, poker at iba pa. Kailangan mo lang ng smartphone, e-wallet at internet. Pero ang aliw na ito, unti-unting nagiging bitag para sa mga Pilipino. Lalo na kung ang paborito mong artista o influencer ang mukha ng app. Mas madaling makaengganyo, diba? Parang safe naman kasi may kilalang mukha. Pero sa likod ng ngiti, sugal pa rin ang itinutulak. At syempre, mas madali ring itago ang pagkalulong sa bisyong ito. Walang pisikal na kasino o pasugalan, walang kaharap, walang accountability, kaya't mas lumalala ang adiksyon. Dagdag pa rito, maraming online gambling apps at walang regulasyon. Sa likod ng mga makukulay na interface at papremyo, nakatago ang problemang bumabalot ngayon sa bansa. Ang pagkalulong ng maraming Pilipino sa online gambling. Pwede maglaro kahit saan, kahit kailan, kahit sino, bata man o matanda, pwedeng malulong. Ayon sa mga eksperto, ang pagkakalulong sa online gambling ay nagdudulot ng matinding stress at anxiety, pagkakabaon sa utang, pagkawasak ng pamilya, pagkawala ng tiwala sa sarili. At tulad ng ibang bisyo, may mga senyales ito tulad ng hindi makapagpigil kahit walang pera, palihim na tumataya, pagpapabaya sa trabaho, pamilya o sarili. Sa bawat taya, may mga taong tunay na kumikita, mga malalaking negosyante at investors na negosyo ang bisyo ng masa. Para sa kanila, perang pumapasok lang ito. Pero para sa ordinaryong Pilipino, kabuhayan at relasyon ang nauubos. At ang masakit, tila matagal itong nahayaan. Hindi ito naging prioridad ng mga nakaupo sa taas hanggang sa sobrang lumala at halos naapektuhan na ang buong komunidad. Ngayon, sa dami ng nalulong at sa laki ng pinsalang naidulot, sa kapalalong umugong ang mga panukalang batas para higpitan ng online gambling, gaya ng pagbabawal sa paggamit ng e-wallets para tumaya, pagtaas ng minimum bet, mas mahigpit na identity verification, pag-block ng mga illegal na gambling sites, at bawasan o ipagbawal ang mga ads na target ang kabataan. Maaari itong magmukhang laro lang, pero sa katotohanan, isa itong sugal sa kinabukasan. Ang kita na dapat sa mga pangunahing pangangailangan o ipon na uubos sa sugal. At sa mundo ng online gambling, mas madali kang matalo kaysa manalo. Huwag hayaang sugal ang magdikta sa iyong buhay. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Welcome back. Cambodia called on the international community to condemn Thailand's ceasefire violations and repeated attacks as fighting along the border enters its 7th day. Both sides have reported civilian and military casualties, with tensions escalating despite prior U.S.-broke ceasefire efforts. The latest updates from Joy Tabanao.
Fighting along the Thai-Cambodian border reignited last week, with Cambodian reporting ongoing attacks by Thai forces in areas including the Phrai Vihi temple.
Cambodia called on the international community to strongly condemn Thailand's violation of the joint declaration and its repeated war crime and unlawful activities, as well as demand that Thailand take full responsibility for such brazen violation. Cambodia urged that Thailand immediately stop all hostile activity and withdraw its force from Cambodia's territorial integrity.
Cambodia stressed that it continues to uphold all obligations under international and humanitarian law, while Thai attacks reportedly include artillery strikes, tank and infantry assaults, cluster bombs, and even toxic gas. Thailand, meanwhile, insists some border clashes were retaliatory and criticized U.S. President Donald Trump's description of Cambodian landmine attacks as accidental.
President Trump, in his phone conversation with the Prime Minister, and also in his tweet, described the landmine incidents, 7 of them so far, I remind you, as roadside bombings or accidents. Now, these incidents are definitely not accidents. They're the result of new mines planted by the Cambodian side.
The clashes, which began on December 8, have killed 9 Thai soldiers and 4 civilians, while Cambodia reported 11 civilian deaths and 76 injuries. Both governments continue to blame the other for the renewed violence. With tensions escalating, Cambodia urges international intervention to hold Thailand accountable, while diplomatic efforts by the U.S. continue to attempt stabilizing the border. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
Thousands march through central Paris calling for an end to NATO involvement in Ukraine and warning against what they describe as growing risks of war in Europe. Jean Domingo will give us more details.
Thousands of demonstrators gathered in Paris on Saturday to protest NATO policy and France's support for Ukraine. The demonstration, dubbed a National March for Peace, was organized by Florian Philippot's Patriots Party and began at Plaza de Barcelona. Protesters waved French flags, carried banners, and ignited smoke flares as they marched through the capital, chanting slogans opposing NATO and foreign military engagements. Placards reading "Stop NATO's warmongering," Frexit, and Macron, "We will not die for Ukraine," were seen along the route. Protesters also demanded France's withdrawal from NATO-led military escalation and renewed calls for leaving the European Union. Florian Philippot, president of the Patriots Party, warned that Europe was being pushed toward a major conflict, citing recent comments by NATO Secretary General about preparing for a large-scale war. He accused the European leaders, including French President Emmanuel Macron, of escalating tensions rather than pursuing dialogue with Russia.
L'Union européenne veut nous pousser vers quelque chose de très grave, évidemment. Regardez ce qu'a dit avant-hier le secrétaire général de l'OTAN. Il faut se préparer à vivre une guerre d'une même ampleur que celle qu'ont vécu nos grands-parents et nos arrière-grands-parents, c'est-à-dire les guerres mondiales en fait. Sauf que la troisième guerre mondiale, elle serait thermonucléaire, donc avec à minima 500 millions de morts. Est-ce que c'est ce qu'on veut, franchement, ou est-ce qu'on veut juste reprendre un dialogue à peu près normal et serein avec un pays qui s'appelle la Russie?
Other demonstrators echoed fears of a wider war and called for a return to diplomacy, as well as a renewed focus on domestic priorities, while some believe there won't be another war happening.
Moi, je pense pas qu'on glisse vers un conflit de guerre, parce que grâce à l'élection de M. Trump et de Vladimir Poutine, il n'y aura pas de guerre en fait.
Non, je ne suis pas inquiet. Je pense que la raison va l'emporter et que les personnes en Europe qui veulent la guerre ne seront plus présents d'ici un an.
Ça m'inquiète plus qu'aujourd'hui parce qu'ils n'arrêtent pas de le vouloir. Hein. Ils n'arrêtent pas de le vouloir, ils n'arrêtent pas d'en parler parce que ça les intéresse, parce que c'est dans l'intérêt que de ces gens-là et certainement pas dans l'intérêt des peuples européens. En quoi on devrait perdre nos enfants pendant qu'eux ils ne perdront pas les leurs pour quelque chose qui ne correspond à rien, pour en plus une Russie qui nous a jamais rien déclaré.
Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Jean Domingo, SM9 News.
Philippine authorities seized an estimated 176 million pesos worth of illegal drugs in a major anti-illegal drugs operation in Taguig City. 5 high-valued suspects were also arrested, an achievement highlighted by the new leadership of the Philippine National Police. More details from Kai Villan.
More than 176 million pesos of illegal drugs were seized by the police, and 5 high-value suspects were arrested in a coordinated bypass operation in Barangay Napindan, Taguig City, according to the Philippine National Police. The PNP said that the confiscated items included 25.5 kilograms of shabu, valued at approximately 173 million pesos, 1.77 kilograms of dried marijuana kush worth 2.655 million pesos, and 140 e-cigarettes suspected to contain marijuana oil with an estimated value of 210,000 pesos. The arrested suspects were identified as John Walter Bernaldo Carlos, Danny San Jose Ordonez, Jonel Coricor Almeda, Alvin Zavala Escovidal, and Elmer Rabanes. Based on the investigation, the group allegedly played a key role in an organized illegal drug network, and their arrest has disrupted drug operations in Metro Manila and nearby areas. The PNP, for its part, took pride in the operation, saying it was the result of thorough preparation and long-term intelligence work. According to the PNP leadership, the operation forms part of the law enforcement results under the new leadership of Acting PNP Chief Police Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr., which is focused on concrete action in the campaign against illegal drugs. Reporting for Newsline World, Kai Bilan, SM9 News.
The Secretary of the Department of Public Works and Highways personally appeared before the bicameral conference committee after the agency's proposed allocation was reduced in the 2026 national budget. Here's the report from Fer Gomez.
Department of Public Works and Highway Secretary Vince Dizon confirmed that he was invited by Senate Finance Committee Chairperson Sherwin Gatchalian to clarify issues related to the reduction of the DPWH budget. Earlier, the DPWH appealed to the Senate to restore the amount cut from its proposed 2026 budget due to the use of the Construction Materials Price Data, or CMPD. However, Dizon stressed that the projects will no longer revert to their previous costing.
Hindi ko ibabagay yung cost nung dati. It will still be the same. This is all about implementation ng mga proyekto, which I will discuss later.
Based on the data, the Senate reduced the proposed budget of the DPWH to 570.48 billion pesos from the 624.48 billion pesos in the House of Representatives version. Gatchalian explained that this was part of major budget amendments, including the use of adjustment factors in line with President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s directive to lower the cost of construction materials for government projects. However, aside from the funding issue, the invitation of a resource person to the bicameral conference also became a focal point of discussion, an action that is rare and not usually done. Gatchalian explained the decision.
Ito naman ay meron pong concurrence ng both the Senate and the House of Representatives. So talagang hong bihirang-bihira ang nag-i-invite ng resource persons. No? Dahil ito ay pag-uusap o pagpupulong po ng dalawang kapulungan. Pero kung meron pong mga ganitong talagang kakaibang sitwasyon at kailangan ho natin maintindihan ng mas malalim pa ho yung mga issues, with the concurrence of both chambers, pwede naman ho tayo mag-invite.
This was first questioned by Senator Erwin Tulfo, who warned of its possible impact on the rules and procedures of the bicameral conference committee.
I guess, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, we have to review our rules. Or in the future, Mr. Chair, this will happen again. Then alam ho natin ang gagawin. There will be no more discussions. Yeah. In the future, ika nga bicameral conference between the two houses.
Gatchalian immediately clarified that this would not become a regular practice.
Tama ho kayo. Talagang hindi ho pwede maging regular to na kung hindi ho tayo nag-agree, merong third party na papasok. Hindi ho talagang... But in this case ho, dahil technical to, about engineering, about pricing, something na hindi ho natin expertise, no? Lahat ho dito. Kaya in this very special circumstance, and with the agreement of both chambers, we will invite Secretary Dizon to explain this issue.
Earlier, the start of the second day of the bicameral conference was delayed by nearly 2 hours due to a prior meeting between the House contingents and the DPWH Secretary. Reporting for Newsline World, Troy Gomez, SMNI News.
Team Philippines wins gold in Chonburi as wushu icon Agatha Wong once again provide her Southeast Asian supremacy with a commanding gold in the women's Taiji Chuan and Taiji Jian event in the 33rd Southeast Asian Games, while Victor Wembanyama returned from injury and helped the San Antonio Spurs advance to NBA Cup final with a win over the Oklahoma City Thunder in Las Vegas. Carl Daldapanya for the details.
After 3 days of waiting for a top podium finish, Wong ignited the Philippine campaign with a dominant late-morning victory, ensuring the early playing of Lupang Hinirang at the Rata Prasasan Bakdi building in Bangkok. A 5-time SEA Games champion entering the competition, Wong showcased composure and precision to secure her 6th gold medal, amassing a combined score of 19.556 points. Her campaign was anchored by a rock-solid 9.773 in Taiji Chuan last Saturday, followed by a strong 9.783 finish in Taiji Chen to outclass her regional rivals. Balancing elite competition with medical school, Wang described the triumph as one of the most challenging yet rewarding moments of her career, admitting to doubts heading into the games but drawing strength from the honor of representing the country. Her victory boosted Team Philippines' gold count and set the tone for further success, highlighted later in the day by a historic triumph from the national judo team, which captured gold in the mixed team event for the first time after defeating host Thailand. As of 8 p.m., the Philippines tallied 17 gold medals, along with 31 silvers and 71 bronzes, with several athletes still in contention for podium finishes in the remaining competitions. Meanwhile, Victor Wembanyama returned from a left calf injury and scored 22 points, along with 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks in 21 minutes, helping the San Antonio Spurs beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 111-109 in Las Vegas. Devin Vassell added 23 points for the Spurs, while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led the Thunder with 29 points. The loss ended Oklahoma City's 16-game winning streak and was only their second defeat in 26 games this season. The Thunder had previously matched the best 25-game start in NBA history, going 24-1 after beating the Phoenix Suns in the quarterfinals. San Antonio will face the New York Knicks in the NBA Cup final after New York defeated the Orlando Magic 132-120. Jalen Bronson scored a season-high 40 points, and Karl Anthony Towns added 29 points for the Knicks. Wembanyama, who had limited minutes, said he wanted to make the most of his time on the court and noted the significance of winning against the defending NBA champions. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo de la Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
Fergie rejoined the Black Eyed Peas for a high-energy performance, marking the first time the iconic group has performed together in years. Meanwhile, in a stunning development, Miss Finland has been stripped of her crown after making a racist slanted eye gesture in a social media post. The move has sparked widespread outrage, with many condemning the act as racially insensitive and demanding accountability for beauty pageant organizations. Blake Ann will give us the updates.
In a major surprise for music fans, Fergie has officially reunited with the Black Eyed Peas, sending fans into a frenzy. The iconic group performed together for the first time in years, thrilling audiences with an unforgettable set that included some of their greatest hits. Fergie's return to the stage alongside William Appleyard and Taboo comes after a long hiatus from the group. The performance, which took place at a highly anticipated event, marks a major moment for the Black Eyed Peas as they bring back the magic of their early 2000s success. The reunion sent social media into a buzz, with fans celebrating the return of Fergie to the group that helped create hits like Where Is the Love and I Got a Feeling. In a shocking turn of events, Miss Finland has been stripped of her crown following controversy over a racist gesture made during a recent public appearance. Sarah Jafse won Miss Finland 3 months ago, faced immediate backlash after she was pictured making a slanted eye gesture, widely considered offensive and racially insensitive. The incident took place during a social media post where Miss Finland was seen mimicking the gesture, which many have interpreted as a mockery of Asian features. The backlash was swift, with online users calling for her to be disqualified and demanding that her title be revoked. In response to the controversy, the Miss Finland organization issued a statement condemning the act, asserting that the gesture goes against the organization's values of inclusivity, respect, and diversity. The former title holder expressed regret for her actions, apologizing for any harm caused. However, critics have argued that the apology came too late, with many expressing frustration over the lack of accountability prior to the public outcry. The disqualification has sparked widespread debate about the standards of beauty pageants and how they handle sensitive issues such as racism. Experts have pointed out that such incidents highlight the need for greater cultural awareness and education within the industry. This controversy is expected to have a lasting impact on Miss Finland and may influence how beauty pageants approach issues of diversity and inclusivity moving forward. And that's all for now. I'm Blake Ann, bringing you the latest showbiz.
A petite water buffalo from a quiet village in Maharashtra is winning hearts around the world. A Radha officially recognized by Guinness World Records as the world's smallest water buffalo. Radha, a 3-year-old Mura hybrid owned by farmer Tim Burait, has become an unlikely global star after being named the world's shortest water buffalo in September. Measuring just 2 feet 8 inches tall, she stands in sharp contrast to typical water buffalo, which usually grow up to 5 or 6 feet. Radha is owned by a Burait family farm. She enjoys her simple daily routine, from refreshing morning showers to playful walks around the property, moments they have delighted hundreds of visitors and online viewers alike. Radha's popularity soared after receiving recognition from the Guinness World Records. Since then, she has appeared in more than 13 agricultural shows across Maharashtra, drawing large crowds and widespread attention. Once valued at 5 lakh rupees or $5,000, Radha is now estimated to be worth over 51 lakh rupees or $56,000. This highlights how her unique stature has brought unexpected opportunities and pride to her owners. While water buffalo are commonly raised for milk, meat, and farm work, Radha's story stands out as a heartwarming reminder that even the smallest among us can make a big impact, turning an ordinary farm animal into a symbol of joy, wonder, and rural pride. And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the song. Start strong, finish strong. Quitting is not an option. And for our Christmas countdown, only 10 days left to go before Christmas. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Prince Tripoli. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.